Good morning. My name is Abigail Bottome. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am a member of the Worship and Music Committee, and I will be your worship associate this morning. I'm delighted to welcome you here on this glorious sunny spring morning. Whether you're visiting or a regular member, please check with a greeter if you have any questions. Today we acknowledge that we are located in a place that was once the Wampanoag village of Patuxet. We strive to follow their example and be faithful stewards of this sacred land. The theme for today's service is the Wood Wide Web. Our service is recorded. The candle section will be edited out so we can speak more candidly and personally as a community. This service, as are all our services, will be posted on our Facebook page and on YouTube. We also share our services on local public access television. Our service today is presented by our minister, Reverend Art Lavoie, and moi. Our service is being filmed by Lydia Robertson. Deb Keller-Wood, our Director of Spiritual Enrichment, is not here today, but Sharon Clark will be sitting in for her to do the Time for All Ages with Reverend Art. Today's live music will be offered by Emily Browder Melville and Erin Finnegan, Rachel Quinn, and Ruby Blackwell. Because our services vary from week to week, we suggest you visit us again to experience the variety of worship we offer. If you're a visitor, please consider signing the guest book, which is in the foyer, so you may receive our weekly e-blast. Masks are available if you want to wear one during the service. We are, as usual, hosting coffee hour after the service. We invite you to join us for fellowship and refreshments. If you're interested in helping out with coffee hour, please talk to Juliet Thomas. We always need volunteers. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on your journey, let us walk together this hour.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Arthur Lavoie. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm thrilled to be back with you this morning. I was out sick last week. And I want to welcome everyone here, as well as offer a special welcome to anyone who is watching on Zoom or who will be watching this service later on our YouTube channel or the local public access TV stations. Abigail is being shy because the service today is presented by Abigail Bottome with me assisting her. She took a theme that we were going to work with together and turned it into a beautiful service of her own. So I am thrilled that you did that and that you got so excited about doing that. So she's being a little shy about that. I hope to be able to greet those of you that I didn't get a chance to greet when you came in after the service, and look forward to seeing all of you at coffee hour. And
Well, thank you. Our opening words this morning are from Chief Seattle, who was the leader of the Squamish and Duwamish tribes in the Seattle area. There are a number of variations of this quote, but this is the one that I like. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect.
so our opening hymn this morning is titled, "We Celebrate the Web of Life." The words are on an insert in your order of service, and we are using the tune of Amazing Grace to sing this hymn. Please rise in body or in spirit. And please remain standing for our chalice lighting. Which the words are in the order of service. That's right. I was going to say that in a minute. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated. So, I don't have all cards. I don't need the book. Thanks. Where is Aaliyah? Go get her, okay? So, we're going to tell a story today. And I have some characters in the story. So, I've got to go up a little. Okay. And so we have Sharon, who is an apple tree. Would you like to get up, Sharon?
Jane is pushing me, so I guess I'll.
Okay. And Emily is a magnolia tree. And Aaliyah is playing Britta. Okay? And the story is, let me just show everybody the book. From this book, Apple and Magnolia by Laura Gell and Patricia Matola. We have trees. You're going to have to stand a little closer together so that the stuff that I brought to wrap around you actually works. Now, we all know that there are different kinds of trees. And most of us have seen an apple tree before, right? But a magnolia tree, well, we don't see as many magnolias here in New England. Magnolias are more prominent in the South. They don't like the New England winters very much, right? Yeah, apple trees are sturdier, but I'm not sure an apple tree would work so well in the South anyway. You'd probably melt away in all that sun and heat. So, but a magnolia, in case you haven't seen one, is a tree that has these big pink and white blossoms. And the tree is a little different from what we're used to because the flowers come out before the leaves do. So the flowers bloom and then the leaves grow up around the flowers. So that's one of the things about the two trees. Now, Britta is the hero of our story. And in her yard, there were these two trees, and they were her favorite trees. She also knew that they were best friends. She didn't know how she knew that, but in her heart, she knew it was true. She visited them every day. So, go visit. Go visit the trees. Go say hi to the trees. Thank you. She would dance along while the trees swayed in the breeze. Her dad said, "You don't have to be in this." Her dad said that he did not think trees could be friends. Would you say that? Ah, okay. Her cranky teenage older sister, Bronwyn, said, "Trees absolutely, positively cannot be friends." But her Nana said, "Unusual friendships can be the most powerful of all." Then one day, Magnolia's branches started to droop. Her bark grew patchy and gray. Her leaves turned brown instead of yellow. Dad said he didn't think Magnolia would survive the winter. And cranky Sister Bronwyn said that absolutely, positively, Magnolia would not survive the winter. But Nana asked if Britta had a plan to help Magnolia. Luckily, Britta did. She tied a string to two cups. If you go put that around them, around their arms, maybe. Go ahead. Put one around one arm and one.
A branch, not an arm.
A branch. You got to put it around her branch. There. So she tied a string to two cups so they could communicate better with each other. So that Apple could hear Magnolia sigh. And Magnolia could hear the sweet whistling sounds of the breezes through Apple's leaves. Britta tied two scarves together to make one long scarf, to wrap around them to help them to stay warm in the winter. Yeah. So, One morning, she saw that the string and the scarf seemed to be drooping a little bit. No, in the middle, drooping in the middle, yeah. Yeah, I gotta give instructions while I tell this story, right? So, maybe the two trees were actually getting closer together. Every morning now, she went out and she would measure the distance between the two trees. Dad said he didn't think the trees were growing toward each other. And Bronwyn said the trees were absolutely, positively were not growing toward each other. But Nana helped Britta to make a chart. And they found the measurements were definitely getting smaller. Britta started to feel hopeful that Magnolia would survive. In the spring, Apple's small pink flowers arrived right on time, but Magnolia's didn't. Every day, though, Britta's measurements grew smaller and her hope grew stronger. And then one by one, Magnolia's flowers started to appear. Soon there were hundreds of big pink and white flowers. Dad said he didn't think Apple helped Magnolia survive the winter. Cranky teenage Bronwyn said Apple absolutely, positively did not help Magnolia survive the winter. Nana smiled and said, unusual friendships can be the most beautiful and powerful of all. And in her heart, Britta knew that that was true. Thank you all. Thank you for those that assisted with our story. Thank you. Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Do you have a plan or do you want to take this?
I have a plan.
Okay. Is that your purse? Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, that was You're going to learn a little from me today that was indeed possible. Our reading today is from a novel by Richard Powers called Overstory. And I know at least one person here has read that novel. So anyway, I'm going to read from that. It's a novel about, it has people, but it is about trees, and it's about what humans have done to trees and continue to do to trees. And it is an incredible, incredible story. She addresses the cedar using words of the forest's first humans. Long life maker, I'm here, down here. She feels foolish at first, but each word is a little easier than the next. Thank you for the baskets and the boxes. Thank you for the capes and hats and skirts. Thank you for the cradles, the beds, the diapers, canoes, paddles, harpoons and nets, poles, logs, posts, the rot-proof shakes and shingles, the kindling that will always light. Each new item is release and relief. Finding no good reason to quit now, she lets the gratitude spill out. Thank you for the tools, the chests, the decking, the clothes closets, the paneling. I forget. Thank you, she says, following the ancient formula, for all these gifts that you have given. And still not knowing how to stop, she adds, we're sorry. We didn't know how hard it is for you to grow back.
Nobody warns you, willow, hold on tight. Nothing's gonna shake your love, take your love away. No one's out to break your heart. It all
Lovely. In Amesbury, where I lived for many years, I shared my property with a couple who arrived each spring, tidied up their home, raised their young, and then departed. It was February 2012. I came home to a phone message from my excited neighbor, Sally Chandler. "You have won the lottery, call me." Turns out a pair of bald eagles had chosen a spruce tree on my property at the northern edge along the banks of the Powwow River to build a nest. Over many years, this pair returned and raised at least 2 chicks each year, taking turns sitting on the nest until the babies hatched, and then feeding them, teaching them to fly, and then sending them off on their own. My next-door neighbors, Hugh and Marge McCabe, had an unobstructed view of the nest from their property, and they set up a telescope. Neighbors and friends would trek back to the telescope to have, as they say, a bird's eye view of the eagles at the nest. Early in the season, before the trees blocked my view, I also had a clear view of the nest from my back window. Folks from the State Fish and Wildlife Environmental Office came each year to check on the birds. One would rappel up the very tall evergreen and oh so carefully take a baby out of the nest, place it in a bag, and carry it down to be examined for disease. A tag with an ID number was wrapped then around the bird's leg. I confess, I had a few mixed feelings about this human interference, but also understood it was important to account for the return of the eagles, as they had largely disappeared from coastal New England. Instead of interference, perhaps this is an example of interdependence. Humans assisting fellow creatures within a shared environment, part of the web of life. The eagle population has rebounded. These efforts have been successful. The banding day was a neighborhood event. Each spring, a group of adults and children trekked carefully through the poison ivy back in my property to gather under the tree and observe the process. One year, I held a baby eagle in my lap, a fierce little creature, likely scared, whose body was still small and compact, but whose talons that would soon be used to grab fish were already large, sharp, and scary. That tree, I was told by one of the state crew, was in a perfect spot for the nest, high in the sky and an easy flight directly across my property to the Merrimack River, rich with sustenance for the eagles. Year after year, the nest was repaired, grew in size, and was home to many young birds. I've heard from Sally this year that she has observed the tidying of the nest, and she anticipates another year of baby eagles. This would be the 13th year. There have been 23 babies. I was pleased and excited to share my tree with this pair and their growing family. My tree? Does one own a tree? My husband used to suggest that we were not owners, but caretakers, and indeed that property is now cared for by another couple. Sometimes we did act like we owned trees, like the time we removed a willow after it became sick and no longer had voluminous branches. That willow had attracted me to the house and the property from first I saw it. I dearly loved that tree, where my toddlers would hide and run through the graceful branches, though my son told me recently he hated that tree. Well, leaves, he had to clean them up. Nothing lasts forever though, and we finally had to remove the dying tree. Willows, I am told, do have briefer lifespans compared to other trees. I do have a strong affinity for trees. Those Ents Tolkien wrote of in The Lord of the Rings were among my favorite characters. There was a pair of trees in the salt marsh on Plum Island that I regarded as my trees. They stood alone in the salt marsh, one taller than the other, bent over above as if protecting its shorter partner. I loved to park my car along the road and look toward the west across the salt marsh, observing that intertwined pair. funny story. They were my trees until I had a conversation one evening with the son of friends I was visiting for dinner. He told me he was taking his girlfriend to show her his trees on Plum Island. What? Those are my trees. Lesson learned. You don't own a tree. Alas, one of the pair was knocked out by a winter storm just a couple years ago. Last time I visited the refuge, I did note the solitary tree standing alone in the salt marsh. I am no scientist, and I had no idea until recently that trees have a lot more going on than the soaring reach toward the sky, the swaying branches, the shifting colors of the deciduous ones in the fall. Underneath ground, there's a vast network of thread-like fungi called mycorrhizas that envelop and fuse with tree roots. According to Peter Wohlleben in his book, The Hidden Life of Trees, trees share water and nutrients through the networks and also use them to communicate. They send distress signals about drought and disease, for example, or insect attacks, and other trees alter their behavior when they receive these messages. Dr. Suzanne Simard of the University of British Columbia in Vancouver discovered these fungal networks when she was a young scientist. Back then, she was dismissed as naive. But today, her work is accepted and highly regarded, though I admit it's still subject for debate among some scientists. This wood wide web, the theme of our service today, is a term first noted by Nature magazine to describe Simard's discovery. As these trees grow, they connect with other trees' fungal networks, sharing water and nutrients, even among trees of different species. So our trees this morning may very well have been helping each other. According to Simard, they even warn of danger. Mother trees nurture seedlings. Their root networks regulate the chemical activity in the tree. Roots absorb substances and bring them into the tree. Then they deliver the products of photosynthesis to the tree's fungal partners and root warning signals to neighboring trees. It goes beyond the forest. A marine chemist at Hokkaido University in Japan, Katsuhiko Matsunaga, noticed that leaves falling into streams and rivers were leaching acids into the ocean and so stimulating the growth of plankton, as Wohlleben points out, the first and most important building block in the food chain. If you want to know more about all this, I highly recommend Peter Wohleben's book, The Hidden Life of Trees. He's got two. He's got a book, and then he just published an illustrated book which contains colorful photos of many tree species, but also examples of the fungal networks and intricate roots and moss beneath the trees. So, these partners with whom we share planet Earth, as intelligent humans, we're looking after their welfare? Think again. When Peter Wohlleben started his career, it was as a forester. He regarded trees as so much square footage. When he began to understand the inherent value of trees, he changed his focus and now tends a forest in Scotland and advocates for careful attention to trees. But so many others see trees as commodities and their value in their board feet for lumber or transformed to pulp for toilet paper. According to the New York Times, just this past week, despite major progress in protecting vast tracts of rainforest, the world failed again last year to slow the pace of global forest destruction. The world lost 9.1 million acres of tropical forest in 2023, equivalent to an area almost the size of Switzerland. Some of the loss is due to wildfires, but these are also often caused by human-made climate change. Some companies lust for what lies beneath the trees. A Chinese mining company is preparing to clear-cut an ancient forest in Arizona in order to mine the silver and gold beneath the ground. In my husband's native West Virginia, scores of mountains have had their tops lopped off to make way for strip mining, thereby destroying the trees, crucial habitat for birds and animals, and muddying the rivers and streams below. There is much we might learn from trees, yet we continue to clear the rainforests, cut the tops off mountains, topple trees across vast landscapes to build parking lots or golf courses or shopping centers. Yet here's the thing. Trees aren't only majestic and beautiful natural wonders. They absorb carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen for our benefit. We talk and talk about carbon neutrality while continuing the clumsy habits that eliminate a key source of healthy oxygen. It's not only forests, by the way, but grasslands, chaparral, Arctic tundra, even your grassy lawn. What other benefits do trees bestow? They conserve water. Their fallen leaves enrich the soil. They support wildlife. They provide cool shade under the hot summer sun. We have this example of interdependence and mutual support around us, yet our society remains fixated on the idea of independence. The single guy going it alone, succeeding without help, though of course no one ever does it entirely on their own. Watch a basketball game. There may be a rock star player who hits the three-pointers, but it takes teamwork to win games. Even dead trees provide a benefit to others. When a tree fell on our land, we left it there to provide habitat for small animals and insects and to allow the rotting tree to enrich the soil. When I moved to Plymouth, I was enchanted with a towering 30-foot-tall trunk of a much larger oak that had been struck by lightning right on the back at the edge of my property. My neighbor said it looked like a grand sculpture. A photo of the tree is on the front of your order of service. Alas, when I returned from LA last December, the tree had fallen, as I knew it would someday. Now the great tree lies in two pieces, side by side, nurse logs for forest critters. And this painting here is a painting that was done by my dear friend Valerie. And in a true sign of interdependence, I wanted a painting and she wanted to paint. So there we are. For UUs, our commitment to interdependence requires us to acknowledge and actively assert there is something bigger than ourselves of which we are a part. We recognize the dignity of all people, indeed all living things. Just imagine a world if we reckoned with Paul Farmer's exhortation, the idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world. Robin Wall Kimmerer, in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, reckons with the significance and wisdom of maples. She describes this mutuality among trees, how they share carbon, as I described earlier regarding other trees. Kimmerer writes, it is traded, exchanged, bartered among community members from atmosphere to tree to beetle to woodpecker to fungus to log to firewood to atmosphere and then back to tree. There is much we can learn about interdependence from trees. Let me close with Robin Wall Kimmerer's words about maples. Individuals far wiser than I have said that we get the government we deserve. That may be true, but the maples, our most generous of benefactors and most responsible of citizens, do not deserve our government. They deserve you and me speaking up on their behalf. To quote our town councilwoman, show up at the damn meeting. Political action, civic engagement, these are powerful acts of reciprocity with the land. The Maple Nation Bill of Responsibilities asks us to stand up for the standing people, to lead with the wisdom of maples.
oneness of everything. I'm going to briefly just read the first two verses that we're going to sing because they're really beautiful ideas and we're not familiar with these hymns. So I invite you to listen to the beginning. Far beyond the grasp of hands or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, in the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees, who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song, becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, ever giving. And now, to maintain the harmony, gives to us all lives worth living for the oneness of everything. Please rise in body or in spirit and join with us. Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. In the oneness of everything, peace is in the dance of trees who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song, becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, ever giving. And now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living. In the oneness of everything. Please be seated.
With all of the conflict and turmoil going on in our lives and in the world, it's hard perhaps to remember that this coming Saturday is Earth Day. And that for so many years, people just moved that issue forward and demonstrated and fought and wrote letters and did everything they could and wrote books to help us to understand more fully our connections to the earth, our connections to trees, to flowers, to all that moves and lives and breathes on the planet, in the oceans, and throughout our world. Thank you, Abigail. Our service this morning is a small piece of what we need to continue to remember in the midst of the turmoil of our lives. Oh, I did the benediction too early. Oops. Yeah. So we are, as a community, are blessed by your presence here, by all that you do for this church and congregation, and your financial offerings are also very important, and your offerings for the work in ministry of First Parish in Plymouth will now be gratefully received. An important part of our service are the connection between folks in the congregation and what you share with each other in your lives and in your ministry, and in your own personal ministries in the world. And there are times of joy and tragedy and struggle and milestones that happen in each of our lives. So I invite those who want to share some of what's happened since the last time we were together to come forward, light a candle, and share with us your own joys and concerns. And I'm going to begin this morning with a candle for peace. As many of us know, the war, the struggle in the Middle East continues to grow, and there were several missiles from Iran yesterday to Israel, and that conflagration just seems to be getting larger and longer and more entrenched. And so I offer a candle of peace as our first candle, and peace and understanding. So I lit a final candle for all of the joys and sorrows, concerns, celebrations that remain in our hearts this morning. Let us pray. We are so blessed to be here in this space, here on this planet, here among other folks who work toward justice and peace and healing. Here in a way that we can understand more deeply and broadly the connections. Tree connected to tree, connected to other plants, connected to sun and stars and rain, connected to us, our own connections to each other, our own need for healing and for peace, our own need for self-definition, the importance of putting our egos aside sometimes to take care of those people and those creatures that need our help. Like Apple caring for Magnolia and Britta overseeing the whole process. We need each other. We need the trees. We need the voices of reason and hope to help us all become more whole and more fully human. Let us pause for a moment of our own prayer and meditation. Our song of inspiration is number 1069 in the Teal hymnal, Ancient Mother. We'll sing it through a couple of times?
Yeah.
Twice, okay.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
Let us all remember the wisdom of trees as we go forth today. Diane, announcement? If you could come to the mic, Diane, please.
Of course. All right. I'll actually start with a less fun announcement. First of all, as a finance committee note, you'll be hearing, if you haven't yet turned in your pledge, someone from the pledge team will either be emailing or calling you or both. Please, please, please get it in as soon as possible because we need some time to make the budget to go to parish committee. So not much fun, but just needs to happen. And then, the fine art of axe throwing.
Ooh.
Ever gone to throw an axe? You'll love it if you try. Grip the handle and relax, standing firm into your tracks. Release and let it fly. Over and the axe will spin and through the air will whisk to the target caged within. Close to center, you will win. Like darts, but with more risk. In the target, there are rings that circle round the eye, each different point it brings. When toward the board, the axe it zings, the wedges in the ply. Grab a beer, this social game is just as good as any. It may even help your aim, but too much is sure to maim, so please don't have too many. Auction offering, an evening of axe throwing, hosted by Nicolette Chase. Embrace your inner Viking. Come along with Nicolette to Longhouse Axes, throwing for an hour of fun, camaraderie, and maybe even competition as we learn to throw axes and knives. Dates to be determined. So everybody, mark your calendars, get ready for service auction, and if you have any more ideas of things to donate, Amy is right there, and also, of course, can be emailed. Did I miss anything? Perfect.
And if you'd like to do something other than axe throwing, there are going to be lots of offerings at the auction. May 10th, Friday, May 10th. We had a wonderful time last year when we did it at the Mayflower Brewery, and we look forward to doing that again. Other announcements? Yeah.
So that is a tough one to follow. So tomorrow is Patriots Day. That was our normally scheduled PC meeting. So I see a couple of committee chairs here. In case you need to get stuff to the PC, we have postponed the PC meeting for a week until Monday, April 22nd. Actually, Monday, April 22nd is actually Earth Day, the Earth Day.
Oh.
But it's all the celebrations typically happen the weekend closest,
Okay.
so yeah, the 20th. But so that is the PC. Want to let you know, so Ron, if you're trying to get us a last minute report, don't worry, you have another week on it. And then Cheryl and Jen asked me to announce that their yard sale that was supposed to be yesterday was postponed to today, and they're happy to have fun with anyone who wants to drop by. That has anything to do with this, but anyway, they have to mention that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. Jan reminded me that it's only 2 weeks before we are planning an after-church meeting to talk again about budget and finance. So we will be finalizing the budget and we're waiting for to meet with the PC in a couple weeks, or next week, and then we'll be able to meet here on the 28th after Sunday service.
Sorry?
Me too.
No,
Okay.
I just realized Kim Capel isn't here. And one other thing, Friday night fellowship, I didn't want anyone to show up here.
Oh, great.
It's going to be happy hour for Happy Fish. It's more of a meetup at the Plymouth Center for the Arts. So next Friday, anyone that wants to join the group and have some social time with fellow UUs and also just other people, we're meeting at the Plymouth Center for Arts at their happy hour, Happy Fish thing, not here. It will be in the email blast.
Okay. I think we can just let people go. Okay. It's been wonderful to see all of you here. Have a great day. There's coffee and snacks right next door in the parlor. I think coffee is down the hall. Have a great day.